Hey folks, welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 13th of March 2024. So just a quick update about what I'm doing because I've been a little bit quiet of late. I'm working a lot on ASR. I'm still trying to figure out how we can identify these turning points, and I have some hypotheses and these I'm testing. And it's looking good. Most importantly, when I'm wrong, I want the robot to shut down very quickly. So when it incurs a loss or two or whatever, or when margin is exceeded, it shuts down, and so it hits the off button very quickly, which I think is super important. And I've had it running now on a $5,000 live account given to me by a Chinese broker, Ultima Markets, and it hasn't been performing as I wanted it to, but it has been shutting down exactly how I want it to, which is really important. And so one of the good things is that when it starts to incur losses, it shuts down very quickly. And at the same time, when it experiences wins, the wins build actually quite quickly. We have this configuration that's allowing it a little bit more flexibility for the entries, and so the stop loss is wider than the entry, but we're seeing a lot of wins, lots and lots of wins. As a matter of fact, when the risk reward is 3 to 1, the hit rate goes very high, up to 90%, and so it'd be a real shame to give that back in the situation that it takes some losses, which it'll always do. And so what I've done now is I'm changing the default configurations of the software, which I've actually already committed and sent out, so that it shuts down quicker. It reduces exposure to single currencies, currency pairs and whatnot, and it's also demanding a little bit more margin, so it's not opening trades if the margin is below a certain threshold, which is very important just to limit exposure. So that's currently working, and that's great, so I'm very excited about that. I'm also working on another tool. I've been talking about doing this for years and I haven't really gotten around to doing it, but now I've started. I started about 2 weeks ago, and it's going really well. And what it is, it's like Pipnotic Compass, and this is going to be like a dashboard which will eventually be available to everybody, where they can perform their analysis using the tools here. So they'll be able to download the data that they want, and if we just go there and we have a look at that, it'll look something like this. It's not final, of course. This is just kind of a beta development version. But here we can see that, let's say we wanted to download Euro, Australian dollar, which looks like this. I'm using Yahoo Finance data for the time being. Then you would click the download button and it would download the data, and it would graph it for you, and it would give you the 5 most recent data points. Okay, and what you can do then is you can use this data and you can explore it using some of these modules that we'll have available. I'm making this one, or I've made this one. I'm going to continue building features onto this, but this is the astrological bit, which is pretty cool. So you can say, for example, make a Bitcoin natal chart, and then we'll take this data and then we'll feed it into an AI, something that will read the chart, and then it'll share a bunch of text about it, and so we can read about it, and it'll tell us about key days, key times, a little bit about the behavior, so the volatility, and I can tell you that the analysis that it made on Bitcoin is really accurate, and it talked a lot about the behavior of Bitcoin being very volatile, talking a lot about it representing wealth, and it was actually really fascinating from almost from a philosophical perspective, because what it would tell me about Bitcoin based on the chart that the Compass generated was fascinating, and it really enabled me to understand Bitcoin more based on this information. We also have forecasting, which I'm also still building, and here you would choose the data that you're interested in. This could be, for example, the Euro Australian dollar that we just downloaded, and then you can hit forecast, and then it'll run it through machine learning algo, show you the data. These are the data points for the prediction, and it goes, I think, a year into the future. And here you can see, for example, the high prediction for Euro Australian dollar, the low prediction, and it'll show us the trend, and the trend is up. Okay, so here's 24, and it reckons that the Euro Australian dollar is going to continue to increase in value, or the Euro is going to increase relative to the Australian dollar. And here we have some cycle information relative to this asset for this period of time, for this year. This is the year. Okay, so you can see here that around February we're going to maybe turn around, we're going to go down, maybe during February, March, late February, early March. It's going to start to pick up, and it's kind of going to do this, but overall we are going to be higher. This is where we entered, and this is where we exit the year. So this will be super interesting information. Then I have this one here, which is fascinating, and it is a combination of things. It's not just commitment of traders, it's also insider trading information. And so what it's doing, it's downloading a ton of data from, and when I say a ton of data, I literally mean a ton of data from the CFTC's website, the Community Futures Trading Commission's website, and it's downloading it, it's tearing through these files, pulling information out, analyzing it, and then it's doing a ton actually, and it's pretty cool. So currently, I mean, if we look at the Australian dollar information, this is commitment of traders, and you can say analyze. What it's doing now, it's going to do some number crunching, and it's going to tell us what we have. Okay, this is historical data. This is 2020, and you can go 21, you go through the years, and you go to 24, which is interesting to us. And you can see leveraged money long relative to leveraged money short. Okay, so this is telling us, okay, leveraged money is the same as non-commercial. Okay, so you have non-commercial and you have commercial. And commercial trading is people who are trading because they have to. And so they are, example, big corporations, and they are taking on long euro positions to hedge for something else. Okay, so they're not in it for speculative purposes. Okay, which is what this information is here. We have the dealers long and the dealers short. So the dealers represent commercial money, and the leverage money represents the non-commercial money. So this is the stuff that's interesting to us. Okay, so when you can see that we have more buying, 16, what was that? 16.7, 18.7, only 17. So this is going to be 18.7. So we have a leverage money, which means speculative hedge funds. They are buying the Australian dollar more than they are selling it. So this is kind of interesting and kind of important. And if we look at it on a chart like this, you can see what it looks like. So we have the commercial long, the commercial short, non-commercial long, non-commercial short. And you can see non-commercial long is above the non-commercial short. So it means that, I mean, speculative money again is buying more Australian dollars than they are selling. Okay, so this is pretty interesting stuff. And then I have this stuff which I'm still working on, and what this does is, it's kind of cool actually. What it's doing is it's going to these websites, it's downloading, and it's looking at their portfolios. When I'm finished, it'll tell us what stock is being bought the most, what stock is being sold the most, who's buying it, who's selling it, because there is a notion that the people in the House in the US Congress, they are outperforming the market manifold. They're doing so well. And so you think, how on earth are these people doing this? And the answer is actually quite simple. They are insider trading. They are assigned to the boards of some of these huge companies. Many of them are. And so they are privy to information that we are not privy to. And while they'll never tell us that, what we can see is we can see what they're actually doing in their account. We can see how they're trading. And so we can take this information and we can convert it to long, short, or hold biases of different stocks based on what Wall Street and the big money is doing in these stocks. Okay, so here is one of the files from the SEC website. Sorry, not the CFTC, but the SEC website. And it's huge. It's absolutely enormous. How many rows are in it? That's not that big. 290,000. It's not that big. Okay, and so what I need to do here is I need to look for the different form types, and there's a form type called form type number 4, and form type number 4 is related to the insider trading. And this is interesting because here I can see Barbara Baggio. You know, you can find all the people here that are buying and they're selling, and then I have a link to a file. And so what the software will do, it'll go in and it'll download that file and it'll analyze it, and it'll help us make sense of it. But it's interesting because sometimes you'll see names in here that you recognize. You think, oh wow, that's the owner of this hedge fund, or that is, here we have Bancorp, you know, and we have a lot of it is the names of people, and others we have banks. First Bank Corp, Bank of Marin. This is probably the Bank of Marin County, the Bank of New York, and so you can go in and you can see what these people are doing, and some of them are doing a lot. And I can tell you now that just by looking at this data that Mark Zuckerberg is dumping tons of meta stock. So this is what I am working on for the time being, and I think it's super interesting. This will be very powerful because it'll enable us to see graphically very clearly what's going on. So you can see, wow. Commercials, they are selling a ton. Dealers are selling a ton. Okay, so when you can see here, you see the commercial shorts. They are here. They're low. Commercial longs. Let's pick another one just for fun. Let's take the Canadian dollar. We'll download it and then analyze it. And so here we can see leveraged long money. So we have leveraged money short. So there's way more selling. This is let's find current. Yeah, so there's more selling of the Canadian dollar than there is buying by the hedge funds, the smart money, leveraged money. And you can see the kind of the opposite is happening here, where you have the dealers, they are buying, and they're buying more than they are selling, which is the opposite of what we can see here. If we combine those in like a chart where you can see commercial long, commercial short, long, commercial long and short, then you kind of see like the general direction of these, which is kind of fascinating. Good. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on for the time being. If you have any questions about that, if you have any features that you think would be really awesome to add to this, because essentially all of you will be using it one day, let me know, and I'll be super keen on adding this. But obviously I'm going to add liquidity distribution. This is going to be all the supply and demand stuff. I'm going to do sentiment analysis. And there'll be an overview dashboard where you can kind of overview what's going on, see what's kind of going on here and now with the existing data. And I'll have, of course, my big thing is cycles. So we'll be looking at like the cycles, kind of the expansion, the contraction of these different asset types using some maths and stuff. So that'll be cool. But yeah, so we're still developing this. It's taking a long time, obviously, but I'm progressing every day. I'm writing code, and so it's moving forward every day. And actually today, I'm going to continue working on the funds stuff here, because I've got the COT data, but I want to get all of this stuff done where we'll be able to see what's being bought and sold by who. That'll be super interesting, and what's being bought and sold the most in Wall Street. That'll be super interesting stuff. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much for watching.